occupied that territory
Correct.
in Gaza until they got out. So that's not...
No, but they got out on a condition of peace. So they said, we will get our 10,000 Jews out of Gaza. So 10,000 Jews used to live in Gaza.
Like recognize that they were occupying someone's territory, and that's on.
Well, so who is Gaza's territory? Whose is that? Egypt. It's been Egypt's for 2,000 years. Okay, so since you understand this, maybe how did Israel win back that territory? Right. So in the 1967 war, they pushed back Egypt all the way to their borders, and so they gave up the Sinai Desert in pursuit of peace with Egypt. That worked. So then they kept the occupation of Gaza, which there's factories and rolling hills and vineyards, a lot of wealth there. There's 2 million people that live in Gaza, more or less. 10,000 Jews lived on the eastern skirt of Gaza. So in pursuit of peace, in the 2005 peace talks, Israel said, you know what? We want peace. As a condition, we'll get out if you guys have real peace with us. Stop launching rockets, stop building terror tunnels, stop killing our children, all these sorts of things. Are you pro-Hezbollah or?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, happy to.
What formal education do you have?
Plenty.
I mean, formal education. There's like a
if you're going to argue from authority, that's a logical fallacy. Tell me why I'm wrong. Don't tell me how many degrees you have.
Don't ask me to change the conversation.
I'm actually, I would argue I'm more informed because I didn't go to college, and I've traveled the world, and I've met with world leaders, and I've read many books. So tell me, how am I oppressive? Can you name one example of how I'm oppressive?
I can name a lot of examples.
Can you name one? Name one example of how I'm oppressive, because you just said it.
Literally here telling people that they are wrong about views and
well, no, they just don't have facts. Can you tell me one time that I've been wrong about anything I've said? Tell me a time that Israel has launched an offensive war.
Whoa. Hold on, folks. What just happened? All of a sudden, this young man here was speaking, a student of the minority persuasion, probably from India, maybe Bangladesh, maybe Pakistan, somewhere out there, probably born and raised in the United States, asking KIrk questions about Gaza and Egypt and Hezbollah and Hamas and Israel, asking some nice questions. And all of a sudden, here comes Mr. SJW, Mr. Elite, Mr. Social Justice Warrior, Mr. Wokester, Mr. Virtue Signaler, Mr. White Man, right? And what does he do? He goes right away and says, "Excuse me there, young man, KIrk. Could you tell me what type of formal education you have? Because you didn't even go to college, so you don't even know what you're talking about." And Charlie goes, "Logical fallacy. Don't tell me how many degrees I have. Tell me where I'm wrong. Mr. White, Liberal, Elite, Woke, SJW, Virtue Signaler?" Couldn't answer that question. Then he says, "Everything that you're saying, you're being oppressive. You're an oppressor." "Oh, really?" Charlie says. "Hey, name one thing that I've said that's oppressive." Don't change the subject on me. And that's where this thing goes. Look at this young man over here. He's all sullen. He's downtrodden. He's just, white man came and took over his space. Look at him. He looks like he just lost everything over here because this guy just pushed his way through. Amazing. Okay, is that your white privilege? Just come and smack dab into the conversation? Anyways, folks, welcome back, one and all. I'm Dr. Nasir for the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. What's on tap for today? Well, I'm going to give you, as always, my political prescription, hopefully to give you a sense of what's going on in the world. Let's continue on with this video right now.
They're attacking Hezbollah. It's within their borders.
It was to Lebanon. They don't just attack.
Hezbollah occupies southern Lebanon, which is Iranian funded, is it not?
Really? I had no idea. Thank you for informing me.
Anytime. Maybe if you didn't go to college, you would learn more.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
Oh, Charlie comes back with the velvet glove feather.
Here's the thing, but IDF is a terrorist organization.
How is the IDF is a terrorist organization?
Yeah, no, according to a lot of people.
Wait, hold on a second.
Not me, but a lot of countries around.
Why is it that they haven't built a new school or hospital in the last 5 years? Hundreds of millions of dollars pour into Gaza. It's because Hamas runs Gaza right now, and they're a terrorist organization. So Israel got out of Gaza in 2005 in the pursuit of peace. 10,000 Jews were actually forced out of their homes in the pursuit of peace. Gaza got more dangerous. It became a hot tub for terrorists. You know where Hamas's money is being spent? On terror tunnels and rockets being shot towards Tel Aviv. Where were those 2 rockets shot 2 weeks ago out of? They were shot out of Gaza. Yeah, 2 rockets. Oh, what's the big deal? Yeah, who cares when Jews have rockets shot at them, right? Because Israel is fighting a defensive right for its own national sovereignty. All Israel has done since 1967 is go backwards. All Israel has done.
The UN sent an Asian diplomat, I forget his name exactly what it was, to go investigate crimes against humanity in Gaza. Israel did not allow him to enter Gaza because they said his visa wasn't valid, and that was published in an Israeli newspaper.
Okay, so I'll have to look into that. If that's the case, then I'll say that you're correct. But here's the question, though. So Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East right now. They're practicing democracy. Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Well, they can. Hold on a second. First of all, many Palestinians in Palestinian Authority, that is in Zone B, not Zone A, can vote in elections. Secondly, here's the question: you want them to be able to vote both in PA elections and Israeli elections? Why hasn't the PA had an election in 12 years? Mahmoud Abbas is a dictator of the PA that uses the money and the aid that we give him to enrich himself. Mahmoud Abbas. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on, but I thought he was democratically elected. So why don't you guys have students against the Palestinian Authority, not students against Israel? The Palestinian Authority.
Palestinian Authority isn't holding guns against Palestinian children.
Palestinian Authority was democratically elected 12 years ago. Mahmoud Abbas has not had any checks and measures against him. In Nablus, he lives in a 25,000 square foot mansion. Here's the bottom line: is that Arabs are better served under Israeli government than under the Palestinian Authority government. Arabs are. I'm sorry, what? Wait, I'm sorry, what?
When they're in the ground dead, that's where a majority of Palestinians end up.
What are you? A majority of Palestinians end up dead? How dare you say something like that? There's 15.5 million people that live in the Palestinian Authority. Half of them end up dead? So you're trying to tell me that 7.5 million Palestinians have been killed? Is that what you?
This is what happens, folks. These kids, of course, they have their bias, okay, towards the Palestinian Authority. They're biased towards Hamas. They're biased towards, everything going on between Israel and Palestine. So that's where these kids are coming from. And if their ancestry or ethnicity lies with Palestine or lies with Egypt or lies with Jordan or any of the countries there in the Mideast, they are obviously going to be, a lot of their things are going to be shaped by the stories that maybe their grandparents told or their moms and dads told of what was going on between what was happening between Israel and Palestinians. And I'm sure there's horror stories out there. There's collateral damage that's occurred. Maybe some of their grandparents, died, or their uncles or aunts died, or cousins, it's all possible. But then to come out basically and just hyperbole, which is basically what it said, like this girl here is saying over half of the Palestinians were like murdered or massacred. And Charlie goes, there's like 15, 16 million Palestinians living there. You're saying 7 to 8 million, Palestinians have been massacred by Israel? I mean, where are you getting this stuff from? This is what happens when you allow the emotion just run high and emotions just go into illogical statements.
Trying to say?
7.5 million live in the. I've never seen that number.
Well, it's actually 50.5 million is if you count the PA and Israel together. You're right. It's more 6 million in Palestinian Authority, 9.5 million in Israel proper. So it's about 15 combined. So 6 million. So you're trying to tell me 3 million people have been killed? 3 million people have been killed by the IDF? That's not even close to being true. So let me ask.
Listen to me. There's a difference between Zionism and anti-Semitism.
Then build it out for me.
You don't support the state of Israel doesn't mean.
So let me get this straight. You don't hate Jews. You just hate the Jews' right to exist in their homeland.
You're not even Jewish. You can't speak for you.
Okay.
Wait, hold on a second.
You're not black. You want me to exist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the worst identity politics arguments. Just because I'm not something, it doesn't make me wrong.
No, you're not. It's apartheid state of Israel.
That's not in line with conservative politics.
How so?
Because there is no separation of church and state.
Then why can let me ask you a question. Why can Christians freely practice their religion in Israel? but Jews can't freely practice their religion in the Palestinian Authority.
How are Jews not
practicing it?
What happens if an Israeli citizen goes into a Bethlehem? What happens if a Jew goes into Bethlehem? If a Muslim goes into Jerusalem, they can go to a mosque. That's what happens.
Do you know what happens at Al-Aqsa? Do you know what happens?
Al-Aqsa Mosque?
People are turned away because they can't pray in their own place.
Well, hold on a second. They have full access to Al-Aqsa Mosque. I was there myself. I was around 5.
That girl has no freaking idea what the hell she's talking about. Nobody is turned away from the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, of course, maybe depending upon if they had some contraband on them or if they were, I don't know, if they were turned away, there has to be a plausible reason. And if they were turned away with no plausible reason, or, they weren't being belligerent, or they were, for whatever reason. But like Charlie says, he was there. He's there. Nobody's being turned away. This girl doesn't know what she's talking about. Maybe she heard one story of one person being turned away, and we don't even know what the context is for that. But until we do, they're not being turned away. And as Charlie says, in Israel, Jerusalem, Muslims can do whatever the heck they want. Arab Muslims can do whatever they want. Arab Christians can do whatever they want. But it's not the same way in Gaza. It's not the same way in the West Bank. As he said, it's not the same way in Bethlehem. It's just not there. It's only a one-way street.
Muslims on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Hold on a second. Jews' heads are cut off in Hebron if they go to Hebron. Jews and Israelis are not allowed in Palestinian Authority. So I was in Hebron 3 weeks ago. You know what happened? If a Jew goes to Hebron, their head will get cut off. Okay, so Jews are not allowed on the Temple Mount. You do know that, right?
No, I'm saying Palestinians, Muslims going into Al-Aqsa.
Right. So it's very hotly debated.
No, actually, when
No,
I
it
was
is.
there, I was praying at Al-Aqsa, and I saw IDF soldiers coming in while I was praying.
Did they stop you? Did they stop you from praying?
They throw like tear gas.
No, they don't. Not the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Did they stop you from praying?
I shouldn't be in fear while
But they don't do what you say they're doing. I'm just telling you, it's not true. Did they? But I don't think you're representing reality.
I was literally there.
So let me ask a question.
I was there. You should not be able to prove your religion. You should be able, if a Muslim.
Okay, that's a really interesting point. So Jews should be allowed on the Temple Mount because the Muslims don't allow them on the Temple Mount right now. The Jordanian control the Temple Mount.
It was since the Prophet Muhammad. It was there since the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, so do you think? Here's the thing. So do you think Jews should be allowed on the Temple Mount?
It's a.
So you don't think it's a Temple Mount? Because if you do, that's the very interesting thing. If you just say it's a Temple Mount, I'm putting you admittedly in a very difficult position because Muslims do not recognize it as a Temple Mount.
Right, they recognize it as their place of worship, and it's been that way since the beginning.
No, it's been the Temple Mount since King David. Thank you very much. So, I mean, you could say whatever you wanted to say. It's a huge point. It's actually it's one of the biggest inhibitions of peace. I think that Jews and Muslims and Christians should all be allowed to go to the Temple Mount. Right now, Muslims do not allow Jews to go into the Temple Mount.
And that is very, very wrong. The Temple Mount should be available to no matter who you are. And when, like the girl said, you have to prove your religion. If you're going there and you want to pray, you want to supplicate, you want to do whatever it is that you want to do in a religious manner, you should be allowed to do it, period. And as for what that girl was saying in terms of where the IDF were coming into the mosque or whatever, they're there for the protection of the people that are going in, to protect from terrorists from wherever. But I don't think you're going to see a Jewish terrorist, going into the Temple Mount, going into a mosque over there and blowing themselves up. That's just not. But the IDF is there to protect. Why? Because most of the time that's happened, just that we talk about in the United States, we have black on black crime. Most of the terrorism that is occurring is Muslim on Muslim terrorism. There are more Muslims that are killed by Muslim terrorists than the IDF, than, bombs. I mean, that's just a fact, folks. That's just a plain fact. Take a look at what's happening all over the Muslim world, where you have different sects of Muslim extremism fighting each other for power, for land, for money, for whatever it is. And it occurs, and a lot of times we don't even hear about the sectarian violence that's occurring between different groups of Muslims around the world. So whether it's 3 or 4 or 5 that are being killed, or 3 or 400, or 3, 4, 5,000 that's happening, there is a tremendous amount of Muslim upon Muslim violence and terrorism that is occurring. That's just a fact. That can't be denied. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel, like, share, and follow us. You know what to do. Check out the links above and below. Leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're so wrong. Until next time, folks, stay safe and take care.